All right. Well, I don't look like anybody's coming tonight. But I think in the spirit of us recording these for so long, posting them for the people that miss, I will just continue. I'll just chat on about it anyway. So, this is the last installment of the series, Dangerous Habits at ZOE. So Chad spoke. It's time to celebrate. It's the last installment of the series called Dangerous Habits. So we've been talking about. So it was actually a pretty good one. It's very much along the lines of what we've been discussing almost every week. And it fell right in line, I feel, at least in my life, and what we've been discussing every week. So it was pretty refreshing to hear. They're all fired up. The group chat was fired up this morning, so that was fun. But yeah, so a couple of things, that really hit me pretty good that Chad mentioned was, one was like how we see things through our eye, like how we are still seeing others and what in the comparison and a lot of the live chat was talking about some people were struggling with outside judgment. And in my life, we've been talking amongst friends a lot about what that even looks like, what judgment is, where does it come from both, scientific standpoint, like what is your brain doing when you feel judgment? And then when you feel judgment, you're feeling all the time. What are some of the things that you're doing in your everyday life that could be causing these things to show up? So we always see we attract what we put out. So, our projections of what we see is how we feel internally most of the time, is how we see the world, either positive or negative, or what we have or we don't have, or is my life good or bad, or my relationship, or any of it, my car, what I have, my job. These things are all starting based on how we're feeling about these certain things, which create a judgment. And it starts this like loop of, could go down the road of self-worth and happiness, and am I good enough? And for me, these past couple of years, what I've been learning, what I've been learning through ZOE Church is, I'm still new to it. One, I'm still trying to figure out my faith because I went away from so long. But two, like that, the whole point for me anyway, my learning is that there shouldn't be, and there is no judgment through God's eyes. That's the whole point. And if this almighty amazing that it's put us here, created us, is not even judging us when we're messing up, or the idea we think we're messing up, why are we judging ourselves so hard? Why are we allowing judgment we think is coming from other people when internally it's just coming from you? And he talks about one of our problems still is having our eyes on others, right? One of the problems still is having our eyes on others, and not, fixing our eyes on what they have mentality. People like fixing your eyes on what they have starts to create a comparison loop and mechanism, like, well, do I need it, or should I have it? Why don't I have it? Or am I good enough? And it just could perpetuate and roll into this thing of us not feeling good enough, or us feeling judged constantly. but it always starts with us. And if we can, trust in God and his his lack of judgment of us, he doesn't ever judge us. Anytime we're put in a position that we start feeling this way, um, it's for the right reasons. He made you, as Chad said, he made you this time in this century or this time, this day of this lifetime of the world on purpose. And there's a plan for you. And part of the plan is to see how you battle adversity, to see how you can go through some of the downs that you've put in front of yourself. Because the whole point is like, if I can battle all these downs, like I'd be the lowest low. My faith in God is what's going to get me through. And that in turn is a lesson, right? Like, how much faith do you have in him? And if you do, if you stay consistent, add consistency to your life and show up every day consistently, not just when it's convenient for you, that you'll see these things start to shift and change. And that's faith, right? So I thought that was a great message from today, talking about, us really fixating on other people, and that leads to comparison and self-worth, and are we good? But God put you here. That means you're good. Like that means there's intention for your life. Like it was already planned. We make a product, or we enter a business and we're making a product to give to our customers. Like that's something that is something that we're giving to them because we want to make it for its purpose. So I'm making a product, I'm putting all my time in it, I'm creating it, I'm going to make it to my best ability for that person I'm giving it to, right? It has a purpose already to it. I'm going to make it with intention, with a purpose, make it functional, I want to make it work right. I want to guarantee it, right? Like I want to do all these things as the owner creator of this product so that when I give it to this customer, one, I'm proud of it. Two, it's functional, it has a purpose. That's my analogy to how God made people and when he did. There is no fault in us. You can't see fault in yourself. You can't take judgment. You can't feel like you're not worth or not good enough, because the creator, the owner of this world business, made you for a purpose, and he makes his products with the intention of true application. So this idea of judgment and pressure amongst are we good enough humans, I think is just a little bit of this more. It's our projection of how we're feeling about our own self in the moment. So we project out what we fear the most, and that's can be through judgment. So I think if we look at it in different lens and realize that, like I said, we are a product of our creator's craftsmanship, and a true craftsman doesn't make bad products on purpose. You don't want to make a boat, spend hundreds of hours making this boat, and be like, I hope it doesn't leak, or give it the ability to leak. It probably will. That's not how you make a quality thing. And that's what God did. He made quality things, which are human beings. So the idea that we could even get in the headspace of we're not good enough, or we're not as good as the next, we're equal to everybody has the equal chance coming out, because that's how he created us. Every Apple computer that I'm on, this Apple computer, every Apple computer, they don't make each one different every day. Once they master this computer, they make them all the same and put them out. And then how they're used by millions of people changes in so many ways. Some people watch just movies on them, and use less than 0.5% of its capability, where others utilize 100% of everything this machine is capable of doing. Right? That's a human. We are all equal. We're all put on this earth with the same chance. And some might argue with the fact that that can't be true because of, circumstance, or where I was born, or I didn't have money, or did things, or I did have money, or I didn't have a family or parents. It doesn't matter. You were still created equally in God's eyes. That's why you were created. So it's an interesting way to look at it, but that's what he kind of highlighted. One of the problems today is being, keeping the eye, we're still keeping our eyes on other people. But I think in that sense, if we see ourselves as equal, as a product that's created by the owner, and all equal, that we can stop judging each other, mostly judging ourselves, and start celebrating one another as a team. Like, we came from the same creator, we're the same, we're helping each other grow, celebrating each other, spending more time celebrating one another's small victories, little successes. It doesn't have to always be a big thing like, Christmas or birthday or wedding day that somebody's celebrated by everybody that loves them. Why can't it be a text message or a phone call? Just when they come across your mind. I'm like, I hope that everything you accomplished today was amazing and you deserve all of it. Like, if I got that text, I'd be like, well, shit, what did I accomplish today? And then we're looking at like, oh, that's okay, that's amazing. Just changes some mindset. Wording and language are such a powerful thing. I think that's what makes great leaders. I mean, obviously Chad speaks very well, and he has a way of interpreting the Bible to allow us to all understand exactly what's going on, and apply it to multi-generational, so that our grandparents can understand the message and our kids can understand the message, and make it relatable and understandable in a way that's very simple. And my simplicity of hearing him is always like, I just gotta trust in my faith of God. That's all I hear. Like, I hear all the message, and I hear the passages and the reading out of the Bible, but always my big, huge 30,000 feet in the sky message when I'm listening is just that I need to continue to be consistent in my journey in my own faith, and try to put more consistent things in my life that I already believed in before I got back to faith. And keep consistency. Consistency is king. Consistency literally leads to our successes. The big ones, the small ones, the huge ones. The unnoticed ones, I think, are the most important. The unnoticed things that we do as humans that we just take for granted. It's like, well, I should be able to do that. It's like, okay, well, there's just millions of people that can't do, hundreds of things you can. Ride a bike, swim, getting in and out of the shower. Like, I don't know. There's so many things we do in a day. We say are human, but there's massive skill that goes along with movement in general. We operate 2-ton vehicles every day, and most of us do it while we're distracted, and somebody's on the phone and you're barely looking at the road. It's like, that's a lot. If you break down driving a 2-ton vehicle on a road doing 55 miles an hour, that, like, it's not easy. I really remember the first time I ever got behind a wheel. I think almost everybody was a little scared. So I think we take it for granted for the things that we can do on a daily basis every single day, just as humans, let alone if you're blessed enough to be healthy and able as well. It's just on top of it. So great discussion on today with him talking about that. And he started talking about some things as solutions to these problems. So obviously these are all dangerous habits, this whole series, right? And this is the last one, but I think the moral of the whole series was that we have control. We are in control. We're in the driver's seat of good or bad habits, consistency, showing up, not showing up, decision making. Coming to these groups, listening to them after if you don't come to these groups, staying consistent to the group, staying consistent to each other. I think there's so many things for us to see in this, and one of the solutions was talking about he said, look for a reason, right? Like look for a reason. Find your own reason, not anybody else's, not something you read, not all your friends are doing, your girlfriends or your guy friends, or and you feel like you need to be that too, or you need to feel like you catch up, or they started all working out, so I need to. It's got to be true to your heart. You have to find a reason for it. And I think I have a next week. I'm very excited about our group, our Real Raw and Flawed group, because I've been writing and already talking and recording on it. And I'm really excited to talk about the topic because it has to do with some of this, but really just what are the external motivating factors for us to do anything? What is it? Why do we go to church? Why do we show up to connect groups? Why do we go to work? Why do we get up and go to work? I think that one is a pretty good example of a forced habit or a forced decision, because we relate work to living. If we don't work, we can't live. But that's not even necessarily true. But if we sit in judgment of each other and we're watching and keeping our eye on everybody else all the time, as he says, it becomes true, because everybody is doing that, right? So it must be the truth. If we're all going, we're all going. Have you ever seen somebody get in an elevator and stand the other way, like facing everybody else? Like, no, unless they're kidding. But is there a reason for it? No. Everybody got it one day. You walk in, everybody's facing you, so you get in and you do the same, like a sheep. And that's what we do. And sometimes we don't even have a deep thought on the idea of why we do anything. Sometimes we just feel like that is what is happening, so we have to do that as well, because we want to fit in. We're naturally drawn to community and trying to fit in with the crowd. And that's why there's not 7.5 billion leaders. It's because it takes a different mentality for a leader. They walk in the other direction. They get in the elevator. They don't turn around. If a marching a parade's going down the street with thousands of people, that person's walking through people against traffic. Salmon swim upstream. Like, why would you do that? You think in your head, why does salmon literally go to the hardest spot and swim against the freaking current all day long, right? To get back to where they need to go. There's a reason for them to do it. There's a reason we go to work, because our reason is I can't pay my rent if I don't. That's why there's so many people in jobs that they don't love, right? So I think you have to reconcile and come to peace with your reason and make it yours. Let's not make it generic. Let's not make it because I go to work because I need to pay my rent. Well, if I don't do it, who's going to do it? Like, I'm not going to. Well, there's a lot to be looked at. It's like sometimes we overextend our life around us, and then it forces us into a position we don't want to do to take care of that lifestyle we don't even actually need. So there's a lot of weighing, I think, if you thought a deep thought about what it is that your reason is, and is it yours? So, he extended to us to jump into that, I think, pretty heavy this week as we think about it going into next week, is to look for a reason of your own. What is the reason I do these things? What is the reason I do it? And then how about, what do I want to do? Maybe what I've been stuck on. What have I been wanting to do? I just can't quite budge yet. What are those type of things? And then why am I not doing? Am I just scared to start? Or do I not have a good enough reason? Is my reason not? Because usually when you do something you really truly like, you don't think about the reason. Guys get up at 5 a.m. and go ride 50 miles on a bike. That's what they want to be doing. It's their reason. It's already there. It's natural. If you told me to do that, I have to literally motivate myself all night long, and then in the morning I have to talk myself into going out and getting the bike and be like, this is a good idea. So the reason, I know that when I'm done, and if I do it for weeks on end, I'll probably feel better, because the science of the body, I get that moving, kicking the metabolism, waking up earlier, getting to bed earlier, like all the things that come with it. I already know those things, but it's not my reason. It's the facts. And that's different. You don't have to go do the things just because, well, I need to hit the gym more. I've heard that from millions of people that just never have gone ever. I've never known them to ever be inside the gym, but when I see them, you give that, the canned response. Yeah, I need to hit the gym soon and get, shape up. It's like, okay. The reason's not strong enough for them to go, so they're not going to go. And there's no judgment to any of it. Like, if you live your healthy mind, your choice and your reason and your faith with consistency, it doesn't matter who you are from an outside picture. It doesn't matter if you wake up at 5 every day, you hit the gym, you eat freaking perfectly, you have the greatest job, make sure you take lunch breaks and naps. It doesn't matter if it looks perfect on the outside. It matters if it feels perfect on the inside. It matters if your heart feels amazing, regardless of what you're doing. It doesn't matter if I have to be on a diet, what I eat, or if I smoke, or if I drink. Like, if we're not killing ourselves because of lack of reason or lack of faith, then it is your peace. It is your reason. It is your choice. It's your happiness. So the internal peace thing is like, obviously, the thing I work on every day now. This is my every single day thought. I can talk 9,000 hours on this alone, but I think to come to peace with yourself, you have to be very honest with yourself. Not just go against the grain because that's a cool thing, and don't just go with the grain because everybody's doing it. There's somewhere for us all. Some go against because we want to be lead and we're called to lead. Some are supposed to be in the group. They're supposed to be walking in the group because groups in numbers are powerful. We need to have groups. We can't have everybody walking in a different direction because we wouldn't have anything solid in our lives. We wouldn't have any community. We wouldn't have any backup. We wouldn't have anybody celebrating us. So everybody has a place. It's okay to be one of the others. You just got to be really clear about who you are and the reason why you're doing it. So it's a great message that ended the whole series of habits, because I thought that, the habits thing was really cool starting off, because, it was about, I love studying that stuff, like why people do what they do, the power of habits break, all that stuff. But, more about the dangerous ones. We always talk about, let's change our habits and get more positive, do these things. But it was cool to talk about dangerous habits, like, face it, feel it, be in the feelings of it, sit in it. What are your dangerous habits? What consistently can you match up when something's going wrong, or if you're feeling bad, or if your life's a little bit out of whack, or some friendships have some strenuous, or the relationship's not going well. If you can go back and look at all the little marks, I do this a lot. What are the consistent things that are also happening in my life during that time? And I have to think about it. When I was struggling the most in a relationship, or at work, or just in my head, I just didn't feel good. What were some of the things that were happening in my life at that time? And, for me, this past year has been a blessing to have not been working, just like the freedom of time. I've been able to look at a lot of that. I've never stopped to look at it because it didn't make any sense to me. I just thought that's what came with, working your butt off all the time, just stress, and that's it is. But blessed enough to have time to map it. And, I found out very clear things that are the same every time. If I think about all those times, I can go through the years and look at a bad memory or bad time or a struggle period that I was really struggling, and then map it out. And I can tell you exactly what's going on. So the question is, why does it keep going on? Why does it cycle back or circle back? And that's the part I think we have to be brave enough to spend time with ourselves, with our faith, with God, ask the reason, what is my reason? It's okay to ask, look up and ask. You can ask yourself, you can write up a piece of paper, you can ask up and see if you get an answer. Like, it's okay to say it out loud. A good friend of mine that changed my career path in my life quite a bit is a power of neutral thinking mindset guy. And, he always, the stat I love the most is um, the power of positive thought is 10x when you say it out loud. If you say something out loud, positive, has a power of 10x versus thinking it. So if you say it out loud versus thinking it. But what's more impressive to me is a negative thought aloud, like, oh, I'm an idiot, or God, you're so bad. Like anything that's a stupid saying or nonsense, or it's not going for me, or the weather, or anything that has a negative connotation that you say out loud is 4 to 7 times as powerful and likely to happen in your life. So when I say 4 or 7 times, I don't mean like less than the 10 time. I mean, on top of that. So it's 40 to 70 times more powerful and likely to show up in your life. So talking about don't think more positively and like I'm the best and like, fake yourself out, but say less dumb stuff, say less negative stuff, unneeded stuff out loud, and it has a more impact. So I always think about that when I talk, because I've been one, I used to like talk out the dumb stuff I was doing and like talk to myself, like you're an idiot, you're better than this, you can do it, like you can't be doing it, and like almost talk like a mad parent to their child. And it always helped me when I started implementing, okay, let me talk about the same situation in a positive light. And it just helps. It changes what you perceive, right? We see what we perceive, we see what we grow in our eye socket. We talked about projecting our movie, right? So great message. We'll get into a ton of this next week. I'm super pumped about next week's thing. So I can't even wait till next Monday, but I've been recording and writing a bunch of it, but that'll be exciting. So I just wanted to share on this too. Pretty cool thing that they haven't done in a while because of COVID, obviously, but $1 Million Theater, where ZOE is now, is doing all their online masses 3 a day, but they just introduced back up the I think it's 6 p.m. I think it's 6 p.m. in person, 6 p.m. sessions back. So that one's always lit. It's crazy. Like it's really fun. It's like going to a club at night. It's really fun, the night one. So they just announced that's back. There's a thing coming up, 21 Days of Prayer. It's going to be live on Instagram. So look for that in their Instagram. But I think the coolest one is US Conference is October 16th. Obviously in LA, $1 Million Theater. It's from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's all day. It's free for ZOE community. Like if you're a part of us, it's free. So, they do ZOE conference every year, which I've attended, which, is you have to buy tickets and it's a 3-day thing, but this is it's a version of that, but it's just for us. So that'll be pretty cool. If anybody is out there, I'm going to try to make it out there, but we'll see. And then we have a new series coming up. So next time we meet for ZOE, we'll have a new series to talk about and some new stuff. So pretty exciting. And then obviously we'll see us all next week, Real Wrong Flawed, for our Connect group. Anyway, I know you came in late. I just started the whole thing just from the start. I didn't know if anybody's gonna come. I wanted to record it anyway so we can send it so we can still watch it, but don't remember where I was while I was talking, but anything come up for you on that? I mean, the topic of yesterday's message was it's time to celebrate, get over the bad habits, and looking for our problems were, one, fixing our eyes on what they have. Two, we're still looking for an escape. So he really talked about what do we all use as escapes, and those things can be alcohol or drugs or smoking or sometimes working out. Some people use health things as an overuse. So we're still looking for escapes to get away from the thought. And he talked about how, and I think we've talked about this, but he talked about how God gives us this noisy brain. If you're a person that's a deep thinker and a thought maker, like it's always going on, that it's not an issue, it's not a problem. It's supposed to be on. You've been given that gift, and not to run away from it, not to numb it, not to try to quiet it, but to lean into embrace it. So that was the other one. And then uh, the last one you saw as a problem in the habits were us taking ourselves too seriously still. Like people just taking things a little too serious when, as you always say, it's like, I could be doing this or that as long as I'm happy, right? It's like I could be doing therapy and writing books, or I could just be working at Walmart, and as long as I'm happy, right? So like that was the last problem. He says we're still taking ourselves a little too seriously, and then looking for the reason, which I know you heard. So, any thoughts that are on your mind at the moment?
No, I just thanks for tonight. It was a great message, and I'm happy for you and celebrating you, and just this year was a big deal for you to take this time for yourself. I'm super proud of you, and I love you, and keep it up and keep spreading the light. And the lighthouse never goes out, even if there's not a ship out there banging up against the rocks. You got to be
Right.
lit up so that when somebody does come through, they can see the light, and that's it. So keep doing what you're doing, and
Yeah, it's a good analogy. I
I
like
love
that.
you. The only other thing that came up for me while you were talking was I'm a salmon. I don't know,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
instinct like that when everything you said about walking the opposite way in the parade and all the things, and I'm always going the opposite way of traffic for some reason, and it creates a lot of challenge and a lot of self-doubt, and
yeah. It's
like
hard. It's harder, right?
what is it, but yeah,
It's
just continue
harder,
to stay the path because I don't know what else to do. It's an instinct.
right?
I don't know why I do most of what I'm drawn to do, and so I'm just going to keep showing up, and hopefully I get a few more lives after this one.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
you know
it's
I
it's
don't.
hard. Look at it's hard. You bump into people walking against traffic. People hit you, bump, and you're gonna come home a little more bruised. It's not gonna be as easy. It might take a little longer, but um, it's the navigation. Some of my mentors always say the journey is what's you're supposed to love, not the
Yeah.
not what it comes with, not
Yeah.
the pay. It's the process you're in that you're supposed to fall in love with, uh, not the idea of what the work is. So
I mean, most often excited in the moment, when you're the one that's driving not in the traffic jam, like you got a wide open highway going north, but everybody going south hasn't moved for 3 hours. You're thinking, what the heck's wrong with them? Or,
yeah,
something without judgment, but just like,
right.
God, there is gratitude to be in that lane. It's just different.
Yeah, yeah. And dad always joked about it. And I think even grandpa says, I've heard it plenty of times, but like the world needs ditch diggers too. Like, and they're
Yeah.
talking about like the masses that just show up and do the things, right? Like, and I've always heard that little joke as like, a little derogatory, like, oh, being an ass to somebody else, like saying, rude. But what it really, in my interpretation, what it really means is what we talked about earlier. Like some people, God created everybody so that everybody worked together in all the things, knowing that there would be the leaders leading the people that were really good at this, and it's like the healers, the helpers, the movers, the marchers, and
Yeah.
the ditch diggers, right? I mean, everybody has to have the purpose. I think probably the hardest part is just because, like we were talking earlier, we have our eyes focused on everybody else. The world has always your eyes on the next thing, or when are you going to level up? If I'm as a janitor here, like when am I gonna? And sometimes the answer is not when are you gonna. It's again your reason. Like what are you doing? Like do you love it? You can love that and be that
Yeah.
and touch people. You can have access to people that nobody else does and touch people and talk to them and share with them and be right there. And um, I think because we're always waiting and we're looking. We have so much stuff to look at today. It's like right in our face. It's like hours. It's like we can look, and have zero idea if what we're looking at is even a better life for us.
Yeah. I always think about one of God's most perfect things is like a beehive, right? Or like an ant hill.
Yeah.
We get to look in those even as little kids, when you get to look through the glass and to their world and see what's going on and everything. I mean, every single person, every single bee, every single ant, every single person, every but he has one job to maintain the entire hive. And when we can see
Right.
things in a big picture, then it makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah, and that's a great example. I'm glad you brought it up because I'm trying to make it like all this message had a lot of powerful things to it, but like I always wanted, like I told you with like when we talked about the book earlier, all that stuff, it's like, how do you take everything you have as a teacher? And we want to instill as much as we have. Portia and I had this conversation too. We want to instill all the things that we spent time grasping to the people that maybe didn't have the time or just didn't have the awareness at the time. We want to give it all to them, right? And I think that the real powerful thing is for us to keep working on how do we chunk it down so they can digest it at their pace. Because just because we, spent 40 freaking years plus like trying to get all this in, that when we're giving it to somebody in a moment, that it feels overwhelming. It feels like 40 years just got pushed on their chest and they can't, it's like, okay, we have to be better, I think, at how do we deliver better?
Micro dosing.
Yeah.
Right.
How do we deliver better and not
Information.
just try to get somebody blackout drunk on our information? Like give them a tiny bit, see what it does to them. Give them a tiny bit, see what it does to them. Like that's the science of microdosing or medication or any. It's don't swallow the whole bottle because you might pass out, you might die. Like these are the things, right? So, yeah, and I think faith is like that too. I when I first came back, I wanted to dive in because I felt guilty. I think about being away from it. I think I felt a lot of guilt when mom passed about it. And I felt like I wasted time not to be there with her during it because it was so important to her. So I felt like when I connected with it again, I tried to dive in and catch up. And it was too much because then I wasn't even understanding it. I didn't understand it. I'm still learning it like now. I'm still like learning what my faith is with God. So like when I tried to just dive in like I do anything else, it was overwhelming. And I felt actually worse. Some of the days I felt not worthy to be in church. I didn't feel like I should go. And it's because I thought that I was being seen. I thought all these eyes were on me being seen that I wasn't there all those years, but while everybody else was. And I'm just here reaping the fruits. Like I'm here to, like like skipping the terrible twos of your child and just waiting till they're cool. like somebody else parent him. I'll be back over when it's all gravy. And I felt that guilt because I felt like I was at a place in my life where I was doing good. And then I started going to church, right? And it was a lot. So I think like we talk about education, like we talk about, especially faith, is you have to go at your own pace. You have to know your reason why you're doing it. Are you going to church just, because you feel guilty about all your week? So you can reset and feel guilty about your week. And then are you going for that reason? Are you going because you were forced your whole life? You don't know why? Or are you embracing it? I mean, is it changing something in your heart, in your mind, in your life, or people around you, or the people around you better? So, yeah, microdosing, everything. How we tell people, how do we deliver? How do we infect change in a big way without suffering or suffocating the same people we want to help? So that's my big plan. My takeaway is I'm trying to figure out how to take everything that's in my head that I've had privilege to learn. I wrote my resume for the first time. I don't freaking know how long. And that was a big eye opener because I didn't know where to begin. I forgot that I have done as much as I've done. I just forgot about it. I just not forgot about it. I've never put it down because I've never hung a placard. And then I started writing. I'm like, what? It's like too much on the paper and it's unorganized. And like, how do I write it? It's just going to sound like it sounds like I'm, I don't know, I don't know. It's just weird to put it out there.
Same like in personal relationships and everything, whether church or
Yeah.
not.
I don't want to overwhelm somebody when they read it. Like, and that's what I'm thinking. Like, I don't want to share my gifts that God gave me and overwhelm somebody with them because they haven't spent 40 years in my skin. And I'm trying to give it to them in 30 minutes. Like, it's not even responsible of me. So I can see sometimes how when I'm real with some friends, I actually create space. I've seen that happen plenty of times because instead of me giving everything I know and thinking that it would help and make us better, it actually pushed it away because they're like, yo, like that's a lot. It's a lot. You're dropping 40 years. That's a lot. I'm good with you for a minute. You know what I mean? Like, and now I really get that now because again, if we're looking at leaders, followers, connectors, all these things, it's not meant for them at that time. It's meant for us. We were supposed to take that job on. That job was ours to be. Our God gave us the burden of bearing weight because He knows that we could pick up anything and carry it for a long period of time, even if it hurts us. But how do we give that to the rest of the group when they show up and not make them feel fearful or regretful that they spent that whole time in a group marching to us for the answer? And because we can't deliver, that it's on false ears, and then they lose faith in us, the thing, the idea. So yeah, I think that's my journey. I think that should be all of our journeys. I mean, the people I talk about most is you and Portia are the same thing. It's like we share the same ideals of sharing, but we know.
About putting the Bible, think about putting the Bible out for the first time, or think about who Jesus was and how overwhelming that must have been to be like, look, everybody, I'm God.
Yeah, and just that's what it is.
Still skeptical. I mean, know, right? And then we're not even, we're like a hair of that, like
the hair and the beard of the Lord.
Right.
Right. And every time I grow and start looking good, He shaves me down. I gotta grow again and more.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So a beautiful thing, a beautiful hard gift that's been given. It's a job, a task that's been given to you. When you feel something in your heart, when you feel a lot in your brain, when you feel a lot of thoughts, it's not craziness, it's not a sickness, it's not judgment or guilt. It is literally the gift that's been given to you. It's the answer. When people say, can you show me a sign? That the sign is, it's being pumped. You're just not listening to it. You want something to like physically show up at your door, a lotto ticket that's scratched off already and with the cash is in the bucket. Like, we want the things now. Like, I want, God, please get me this job. I'll do anything. Go to church. And I want the guy to call me now. I'll give me the job. Like, not, I've been already hearing it. It's playing in my head every day. The solution to the question I'm asking is, the answer is right in my head. It's been telling me. That is the sign. It's whether we listen to it or not, or we're faithful and consistent. So keep showing up, keep asking, because you can't ask enough. And I think knowing in your heart that when you ask for something that you really want and or deserve, that the best things, usually you ask for it because you think it's great. Great things don't show up on your doorstep. Right? Great things take a little time. You plant a seed, you have to water it and watch it and wait. And then when it is ready and it is done, and you know that, it's freaking amazing. The thing that you wanted the whole time. You wanted to eat that fruit. You wanted it. You know it's going to be amazing. You asked for it. But there's some things you got to do. Don't let it die. Water it. And you got to put a couple minutes a day into your dream. So I think if we keep asking, keep showing up, less negative talk, find a reason for your movement, and we can start dumping these bad habits, these dangerous habits, if you will, out, let more God in, keep our faith and consistency. I think we move forward as better people, and better people doesn't mean anything. It means for you what it means, eat kale or don't, eat chocolate for dinner. It's like, it doesn't matter. Do what your heart and your mind is so happy doing. don't let anybody tell you different. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't do that. You're going to die. Okay. Well, there's millions of stories that are opposites. People die and they don't, and they should, they shouldn't. We can't wait for that to happen. So I will, we'll sign off for now and look forward to next week. And then the following Monday, which is ZOE again, we will have a new series for the next 4 weeks. So excited to see what that's going to be like. So appreciate you coming in. Love you.
Love you.
I'll see you soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Good night.